Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our accounting panel for Business and Tourism Career Week. Just before we get started, I just wanted to please ask everyone to turn off and put away your phones. If Dr. Henderson sees a phone, she will come and take it. So let's give our panelists our undivided attention. And welcome to our panelists today, to our accounting panel. We would like to get started by asking you to please each introduce yourselves, your position, and the company that you work for. We can start with you.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. My name is Jeff Lanthier. I'm the manager of business markets at RBC, so I manage a team of small business account managers around rural Nova Scotia. And yeah, that's me.
Hi, my name is Jessica Skinner. I'm a manager at BDO, so we're a public accounting firm across Canada. I'm an audit manager, so I manage probably around 15 different audit files and then a lot of smaller businesses, so I do see a bit of everything. And then I manage a team of 6 people right now with another 3 coming in the new year.
Hey, so I'm Alex Sherman. I'm the controller for the Transportation and Courier Division at the Municipal Group of Companies. If Municipal Group of Companies doesn't mean anything to you, we basically have 3 companies in our division, TDR Transport, Hall Transport, and MBW Courier. So about 400 employees with all of us together.
My name's Corley Gallant, and I work for the Canada Revenue Agency. I'm a team leader of auditors in the GST HST program, and I supervise a team of about 12 auditors that do various levels of audits.
Hi, I'm Michael Vaughan. I'm a manager of financial analytics for the Nova Scotia Health Authority, and we have about 24,000 people in the Health Authority and about 200 people in finance.
Thank you so much. Okay, so our first question, could you please briefly describe what led you to your current position? This could include education, job experience, co-op, part-time positions, or any other experiences that led you to where you are now. And we could get started on this side of the table again.
Perfect. So I took a bit of a indirect approach into banking. Obviously started in accounting, did a co-op program, Bachelor of Commerce program through accounting, did my work terms with 2 public accounting firms, KPMG for my first one, and then Ernst & Young for my next 2, and then ended up doing my CA while at Ernst & Young here in Halifax. After that, I spent a little bit of time at the Auditor General's office for the province, and then decided that I wanted to make a switch to get out from behind my desk a little more, get into the market, and meet with more business owners directly, and more into a sales role. So I made a move into banking, joining the commercial banking team at BDC, the Business Development Bank of Canada. Spent about 5 years there before moving over to Royal Bank in the Director of Business Development role in commercial banking, and then approximately a year ago ended up taking this role when we moved our business account managers under the business financial services umbrella from the branches into managing the business account managers, where I currently have 14 business account managers spread around the province. So kind of an indirect route. The accounting background certainly helped me get to where I was, but certainly when I started my program, I didn't foresee myself necessarily ending up in banking, but that's where my interest led me to.
So I started education. I graduated from the Mount in 2014. I did the co-op program, so if you're debating, I highly recommend it. I did my first 2 co-ops in marketing because I wasn't entirely sure where I wanted to focus my career. And then finally on my last co-op, I settled with what is now BDO, the accounting firm that I work for. So yeah, that is everything. I've been there ever since.
So I obviously didn't plan on ending up in the transportation industry. You don't really know where you're going to go the way everything sort of snowballs out of school. But I did the co-op program here at the Mount. I did a co-op term with Nova Scotia Business Inc. I was responsible for looking at the jobs fund and reviewing financial portfolios for companies that we do lending for. From there, I did my second co-op term with Urban Shipbuilding, doing a bit of project accounting down at the shipyard. Then during university, I actually noticed an advertisement on the wall about a Deloitte National Leadership Conference. Knowing I didn't do many extracurricular activities and had to beef up the resume, I applied to that. They ended up sending me to Ontario. Through that, I was offered a position with Deloitte where I started. A couple years into auditing, they really wanted me to focus primarily on public accounts because I was a public and private auditor starting out. And if you notice around Halifax, there's not a huge amount of large public companies, so that meant I was starting to hit the road a little more. So year 3, I found myself in Montreal, Saskatoon, out in Toronto, and I was starting to think, why am I paying rent back in Halifax, sitting in a hotel room here on Sunday in Saskatoon? So from that, I decided it was time for a change. I ended up applying to Nova Scotia Power, where I worked as the capital accountant for all their project spend. I had a pretty good time there. I was there for just a little over a year and 3 months, and I actually bought a house out in Middle Sackville. Started to not enjoy the commute, sitting in traffic every day for about an hour. So then I looked for new opportunities, applied to Regroup, which is another municipal group of companies, as an accountant. Went to the interview, and the gentleman interviewing me said, actually, we know a position that'd be even better for you. That was the controller position over in the Courier and Transport Division. So I've been over there ever since, and that was a year and a half ago.
I went to the Université de Moncton, and I majored in accounting. I was also part of the co-op program. So CRA was actually my last co-op assignment, but before that I did a co-op assignment with a nonprofit organization. I did their accounting to make sure it got up to date, and then I also worked in the internal audit department of Irving at the head office. So I found out really early that I had a love for auditing. I was able to take auditing classes in my 3rd year of university, so I was really interested in that. Once I did my work term at CRA, I fell in love with it, and I've been there ever since. I was bridged into a permanent position from a student to a permanent auditor, and then throughout the years, I've worked my way through the various levels of auditors, moved my way up, and became a team leader, so now I manage the auditors that are at CRA.
Okay, well, I have a background in accounting as well, much like my colleagues. I started with Atlantic Wholesalers quite a few years ago. They're the Superstore Savesy people. I was doing internal control and auditing for them. And then I spent a couple years working for Mills Brothers, which is a store in Spring Garden, which I think is closed now. But it was a really cool experience. Not good for my shopping addiction, but aside from that, it was good. I worked at a law firm for a couple years, and in 2002, I started working for one of the Nova Scotia health authorities, and realized that it was my passion and it's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I've been really lucky in that I've been able to continue to work with them for the last 17 years now. The last 4 years, I've worked as a manager of financial analytics, so I have a team of individuals that travel around the province and help senior leaders understand their numbers, usually nurses and doctors, so that's not something that they're particularly good at, but that's what we do. And in the last few months, I've actually been given a new assignment. I'm focusing on communication, recruitment, retention, and employee development, which is part of the reason I'm here today.
Thank you so much. Can you please share the types of jobs available for students who are considering a career with your company? This can include new graduates, summer, part-time, or co-op opportunities. And we could start at the opposite end of the table this time.
Okay, so we do have co-op opportunities at the Nova Scotia Health Authority. We usually have around the province between 4 to 6 students. So usually a couple here in Halifax. We have a couple in Kentville, a couple in Sydney, and sometimes in Truro. So yeah, that's something we're a big supporter of. When I initially started doing it 14 years ago, I thought, okay, we'd be giving a break to the students and get them involved. So I felt like I was, giving them a break. But once we got the students in, we realized that the energy and the enthusiasm and their technical know-how was incredibly beneficial to us. So the students we bring in, like I have them doing real work. It's no photocopying or getting coffee. They're doing like real analyses. So it's been a really big win for us. What was the question? Part-time? Yeah. So, and yes, we do hire out of university. We just hired someone from the University of Cape Breton. He's with us now in Halifax. Really smart guy. And yeah, so the answer is yes, there are opportunities.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a few options for students. So first of all, we hire through the co-op program. So every fall and winter, we'll hire students that are specifically just in the co-op program. For the summer, we leave it open to students who aren't in the co-op program, so we'll post through like career services at all of the universities. We also hire through the FSWEP program. That's the Federal Student Work Experience Program, which is basically a place that you can put your resume and any federal government department or agency can hire from. So if we're looking for a third-year accounting student, we could just go there and it'll give us a list of names and we could ask those students to come for an interview. We also offer part-time work for students, so that's normally on account of a student has come to do a co-op work term with us or a summer employment, and then we feel like they're doing a really good job. So if they don't have classes on Friday, they could come and work on Friday and continue networking with the agency. We also have jobs for student ambassadors. So basically, we have 2 student ambassadors at the Mount, Kelly Marshall, who I see in the room, and Alex Soteropoulos. I'm sorry if she's in here. I'm sure I butchered her name. Basically, what the students do is they come to the university and spend 4 hours during the week to promote all of our opportunities. So if ever you guys are interested in a job at CRA, those are 2 individuals that you can definitely talk to. And we also hire new and upcoming graduates. So every year we put out a poster for students that have either graduated in the most recent years or will be graduating by June of this year. And basically we hire from that. So we do lots of screening the posters for all of the Atlantic. So if you're interested in any of the Atlantic provinces, you can apply. And we've hired lots of students from there. So about, just in our office, about 20 new students last year. So they, come into full-time entry-level positions with good starting salaries. So it's a good time to be a student for sure.
So the municipal group, they actually fully support students looking to go through the CPA program. So they allow for study time off and they set you up with a mentor. And I think that's always a great opportunity if you look at any company that offers that type of thing, especially now where you can do the CPA almost anywhere. So there's tons of opportunity from an entry level there. But particularly in my group of companies, we've gone through 2 acquisitions in the last year. And every time we do go through an acquisition, we realize there's new opportunities due to the reporting requirements of a bigger company. So we open up the door to the public, and I would honestly say a lot of times people might not consider working for these companies in an accounting finance role. But what I've learned through school or through experience is school isn't really everything. Like when you do get into these companies, the value you add is the knowledge you've obtained from being there. So it allows you to grow and through these companies. The sooner you get in there, the better, because the more years you have with them, the more you grow, and that's really where the opportunity comes from. And I think my advice would be just consider looking around a little bit more if you're not seeing anything through the usual channels of accounting firms and CPA programs.
I feel like we're in competition. We have 2 CPA students too, so I'm just going to say that. Good point though, Alex.
All right, so BDO offers co-op for sure. So usually in the winter for tax season, we hire anywhere from 2 to 4, depending on who we have coming back and things like that. And you basically will be doing tax returns, trust returns, T4s, T5s. It's a really, really great opportunity to get your hands dirty with tax. Our last co-op that we had last year hadn't actually done their tax course yet. So it was fun. Like we did hands-on training and things like that. But then we've heard from him since. He's like, yeah, my tax course is so easy now because I've already learned it all. So that's a benefit. We definitely hire for new hires or new graduates as well. So usually we recruit in the fall for the following fall. So if you're graduating in May, we recruit that the September before, similar to the other big accounting firms. And we hire anywhere from 4 to 6 every year to enter in as a junior staff accountant and to join the CPA program. And so we're really excited this year. We have several that are actually joining us from the Mount. So as an alumni, I'm very excited about that. And yeah, we also offer support for the CPA program, mentors, time off, and all that sort of stuff as well.
Similarly to everybody else that spoke, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. I mean, we do definitely hire summer students. We do hire co-op students. We hire MBA students, and we do hire part-time. So summer students generally, if it's not through a co-op program of some sort, it's usually with a longer-term vision of this person has an interest in working with the bank long term. They want to start via the summer and then maybe roll into part-time after that. Um, Similarly, the other people up here, we do offer support for programs such as the CPA, or other professional designations that people may want to pursue on a case by case basis. Generally speaking, positions for summer generally will go up in January. So if you check our careers website in January, you'll start to see some postings go up for some of the summer positions that may come up either through the co-op program or otherwise. Um, and what else can I tell you? I guess the opportunities are really anything from your traditional type banking roles to less traditional roles at our innovation center in Bedford, as an example, where there's some more back office stuff, maybe dealing with some artificial intelligence stuff. There's a lot of stuff that RBC does that people don't necessarily think of us for in terms of what we do on the research side as well. So if you're thinking that pure finance is not what you're looking for, I'd still encourage you to check out our website and see what opportunities might pop up there. There's certainly good programs in place to make sure that you get exposure to different areas of the organization through these positions.
Thank you. How competitive are positions in the field of accounting and finance? And we could start at this end of the table.
I think it's probably a lot of you are finding out if you've gone out and looked at jobs now, like any jobs in today's workforce. The answer, I guess, is extremely competitive, and you obviously have to find ways to try and differentiate yourself and get yourself out from just being sort of another resume in the pile of resumes. So I would certainly say that it's very competitive, and would encourage you to try and do anything you can to get a leg up, whether that's making a contact with somebody proactively on LinkedIn that works at the organization that you're reaching out to, or making sure that your marks are as high as they can be. You've got extracurricular activities that you're doing, different things that I think employers more and more are looking beyond just the academics to see who is this person that we're hiring? What's the type of fit? What are their interests? It's important that people have work-life balance. So seeing some activities, I know when I'm specifically looking at resumes myself, I'm looking for a balance of strong academics, obviously good personality, some good interests outside of work, and so it's sort of looking at the whole package as opposed to just a transcript or academic grades.
Yeah, so I'll echo that. It is quite competitive, especially in public accounting. So every fall we interview anywhere from, well, applications, we get, I would say, over 100. We interview probably 20, 25, and then we offer, 5 out of that. So it is quite competitive. I agree with everything from my colleague here. Definitely figure out how you can differentiate yourself. We also look for time management skills and how you can demonstrate that. So it's not only impressive that you have a really great GPA, but did you work part-time to manage multiple priorities? Are you on a sports team? Do you volunteer a lot? Stuff like that to show us that you can manage multiple deadlines and things like that. Where with the CPA program, it's so important. You have to manage your work day to day, but also your studies and things like that. And we really want you to succeed in both. So showing us that you already know how to do that would definitely give you an advantage.
Yeah, so everyone said it's competitive. My real advice would be consider other channels, not just the traditional. Everyone applies in September and August, and because I've been on the hiring side at Deloitte, for an accounting firm, we had like 1,000 applicants send their resumes in, and you're looking at them, and you go to these expos at the various schools where they meet you, and it's kind of overwhelming as the employer really to pull out somebody or see someone that's really different. When we got to an actual interview process, I think every single person that I interviewed, to be honest, I didn't really go through their background, because we know you're here now, you're qualified for this. It's really what's different about you. For myself, it was intimidating coming up here from Yarmouth and not really having any business connections at all. So I kind of, through the co-op program, always remained in contact with those companies that I work for, the individuals there, asked about their background, where they worked. Anytime anybody knew somebody else at a different organization I was interested in, I'd proactively reach out, talk to them, meet them for a coffee, whatever it might be. So I would say it's very competitive, but just go think about different avenues that you can go to get into the industry, and once you're in here, you'll meet so many connections that you'll find your way after that.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there. You said something that made me think of something when I was going through and looking for co-op jobs. Speaking to the importance of all the resumes coming in at once, and 1,000 of them coming in when the job postings are up. I proactively reached out about a year or more ahead of when I was actually looking for a co-op position, and I did reach out directly, found a name of somebody at the accounting firm, and reached out, directly and said, I know I'm early, but I just wanted to let you know I'm interested and wondering if there's anything I could do ahead of time to position myself well. And I think just making that move, I got a response back fairly quickly saying, yeah, you are early. We won't be hiring, or posting for another 6 to 8 months, but we'll certainly keep your resume at the top of the list when we do post, and we'll have you in for an interview. So I think showing that initiative ahead of time, not necessarily just following the regular process. I may be shot for this from your career office because they probably have a process that they like to follow, but I would certainly encourage you to do whatever you can to get out ahead of the curve and get your name in front of the right people.
And not to keep it rolling, but just to add to that too, like I don't ever think like some people have connections and that's why they got their job. Like when it came to me applying at Deloitte, like I said, I seen the flyer here in the hallway. I started to look into it a bit. I was already on my co-op at Nova Scotia Business, and the lady in the office next to me, I was just speaking to her, letting her know I was writing up a cover letter for it, and she told me, "Oh, I actually have a friend that works there. His name's Matt Harris," and to me, that's just a name, and I thought that's great. So I said, "Can I have his email?" And she goes, "Well, I guess so." And then I emailed him, and then next thing you know, I had a call for an interview in a couple of weeks. Come to find out, he was the managing partner for Atlantic. So all of Deloitte on this side of the country. So he was basically, me as a student and a nobody sent an email to the top guy there. He probably didn't read it, open it, or anything, forwarded it along to HR, but that's how it got me in the door just for an interview, just reaching out like that. So.
Yeah, so at CRA, we're definitely competitive for sure. We go through a very, tough, rigorous process to hire, any level of employee. But I will say that we are growing like exponentially, so we're trying to keep up with that. And more than 25% of the workforce at CRA is eligible to retire in the next 5 years, so there's lots of opportunities. So you'll see me around often trying to promote CRA because we need to replace that workforce, plus we're also growing. So we hire at the entry-level position, even without experience now, where say a number of years ago we were looking for people who had experience in an accounting firm. Now we have posters out for recent grads who may not have experience. That being said, I mean, any kind of experience that you have is definitely beneficial when you're going through an interview, because we're not just hiring you just on the spot. You go through a rigorous interview process, and we're assessing if you have good judgment and if you can interpret legislation and things like that.
So we had a posting up, I think it was last week, for a senior analyst and in Halifax, and we received 75 applications, and we interviewed 5 people, I think. So I won't repeat what my colleagues up here said, but Jeff was talking about getting a leg up earlier. I can't stress how important that is. If you're applying for the CRA, or if you have a passion for taxes, I can't imagine why anyone would, but if you do, you know what? In your interview, you should talk about that. Or if you have an interest in banking, sorry. If you have an interest in banking,
it's great at CRA, guys.
talk about your interest in banking. So if you're interviewing across from me, you should talk about, wanting to make a difference, wanting to be involved in the community. Show us that you actually care about the job you're applying for, and it's not just, one of 20 interviews you're doing in the course of a week. It's a big deal.
Great, thank you. So if you had the opportunity to do something differently in regards to your career, past or present, what would you do? We could start at the opposite end of the table this time.
I guess I would say if you're considering going down the designation route, get your CPA. My advice is do it relatively soon. I can tell you there's a big difference, at least for me, the way your brain works at 45 versus 25. So I did mine later, and it was a mistake. So find something, find an organization you enjoy working in. Hopefully they'll support you in some capacity, and do it as soon as you can.
I spent my whole career at CRA in audit, so I don't have many, things that I would change. The only thing for me that I would have liked to have done is maybe seen other programs at CRA. Though I have a good knowledge of how all the programs work, it would just open my doors for more networking with other divisions and also just learning more about the organization as a whole. So I think as you move up through the levels, you have to have a broader knowledge of the organization as a whole rather than just what you're doing every day in your daily operations. So that would be kind of what I would have done different, is just kind of had some exposure to different places.
To be honest, I don't think I would have done anything different. I'm been through 3 jobs in the last 5 years, which doesn't sound great, but it was great for me because I got to see the contrast. I know what it was like to work at one of the large accounting firms. I know what it's like to work for a big company and be one of many on a finance team, and then I know now what it's like to be really close to the business. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't try them all out. So here I am, and I wouldn't change anything.
All right, so I agree. This is the one question that I actually struggled with. Even this morning, I was in a meeting with my boss, and I'm like, they want me to say what I would change. I was like, I don't know what I would change. And even he challenged me on it, but I keep coming back to nothing. I've definitely had my highs and my lows throughout my career. Definitely the days where you just want to quit. I was telling Alex right before this, 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm out the door tomorrow. But I wouldn't change anything. All the challenges that I've gone through have gotten me to where I am today. I've been fortunate that I've been able to progress through the organization quite quickly compared to some of my colleagues, and I believe that it's because of the hard work and the challenges that I did get through. And I'm just really excited to see where else it takes me, so I wouldn't change anything.
I would just say for me, I sometimes look back and think, when I first got my CA, now CPA, I could have taken more advantage of the opportunities within the firm to travel. I think, a lot of people when they finish school, they consider whether they're going to go straight to work or whether they're going to go and travel. You don't have to necessarily choose one or the other. If you choose a career path such as that, you can do your designation. Then shortly after you get your designation, there's often opportunities that come up within the firm to go abroad and work. It was something that didn't work out for me for a variety of reasons, but if I had to look back, I would have probably done that. And then I would translate that into, some of the other comments that people said, and trying to get exposure to as much as possible within an organization, even if you don't think that, a specific service line maybe within a firm or a specific department within a company is what you want to do long term. The experience that you get, getting the broad experience across the organization is invaluable. I mean, I look at RBC now where I am, and if I look at or a large part of the senior leadership team, it's made up of leaders who really have tried many different areas of the bank and areas that, they maybe weren't even considering when somebody came to them and said, hey, have you considered this? I think you might be a good fit for this role. And so I think, getting that breadth, even if it's in an area that you're not going to stay in long term, really, really becomes invaluable for your understanding of the organization and the knowledge that you can take to, a very diverse team where you're often dealing with backgrounds of people that come from very different places, different countries, different education, you name it. So I think any broad experience that you can get is something that I would take better advantage of than maybe I did early on in my career.
Thank you. What kind of opportunities for advancement does the industry have to offer currently? We can start at this end of the table.
So it may sound corny, but I would say it's really unlimited. I mean, I look at myself who started out in accounting thinking I wanted to be a public accountant, partner at an accounting firm, and that was going to be my career, and really made a pivot fairly early in my career. And I think that I ended up in a position in banking that although not directly related to accounting, definitely my designation helped me get into that role, and it helps me every day in terms of, providing advice to business owners, working with my team and helping them understand the strength of the credit that they may be considering for a client and understanding financial statements. And, even if I look at my peers that I worked with at the accounting firm or that I took accounting with in school or finance, and looking at all the different places that people have ended up, I think the opportunities are really endless. It's kind of, you drive your own career, you drive what you want to do through the experience you get. Certainly the education is the cornerstone of that, and I think that's your base. And I think continuing education beyond university is also pretty key to advancement, and particularly in large organizations. As we talked about before, the jobs are very competitive, so there's always going to be people with strong skill sets applying for the same positions you are. So anything you can do, education-wise, experience-wise, is going to help you. But the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, so I would say the industry is growing so quickly, especially in public accounting. So when I started with what's now BDO, I was one of 6, and now I'm one of 67. So it's been a crazy, crazy ride, the growth that I've seen in just my firm. And like at the CRA, like it's growing, like you were saying, 25% of the people are retiring. So I definitely think the industry has a lot of room for advancement. That's definitely what's been beneficial to me is being able to be a part of the growth, and I'm really excited that I'm able to progress quickly and help build the brand and all that sort of stuff. So I definitely think that there's a lot of room for advancement in the industry.
Yeah, I'd say in university, I always thought, I'm studying my debits and credits, and I'm going to have a boring job when I get out of this, and it is what it is. At least they're hiring. But reality of it really was, that's what gets you into the door, and then you can make your career whatever you want it to be. If you're an accounting firm, there's different types of clients you can get involved in. If you want to pick a company that you want to work for, as soon as your qualifications and your fundamentals get you in there, you can start seeing what interests you. And for me, like right now, it's being close to the actual business and the business strategy. And you can dive into that avenue. And I might be an accountant by nature, and I have my CPA, but I might go through a month where I do 2 journal entries, if that. And other than that, my day-to-day is really making decisions that impact our business. So that's what excites me and keeps me coming back to work.
Yeah, so we're hiring now more than ever at all the levels. So, there's definitely room for advancement. When I started, it used to be very slow to get from one level to another in audit, and now it's super quick. It's like lightning speed. You have no time to even think, and people are learning lots every day, and there's lots of room to try new things. So if audit wasn't for you and you didn't really enjoy it, there's lots of other avenues in CRA. So you don't have to specifically do that for the rest of your career. If you do that for 5 years and you're bored, there's always opportunities in every section to try something new, and everybody is looking for somebody.
So yes, we have opportunities as well at the Nova Scotia Health Authority. We're actually the largest organization in the province now. So again, we have about 24,000 folks, about 200 in finance. So before this, I was kind of counting the levels in finance, and I guess we have about 10 or 11. So yeah, lots of opportunity. And much like my colleagues, our staff are retiring too. So we're bringing in a lot of new people, relatively young people, relative to perhaps me. So we have a budget manager, a manager of budget and quality control. We hired him about 6 months ago. He's 28, 29, and he's in charge of a $2.2 billion budget. So yeah, there are opportunities for sure.
Thank you. So what is it about your job that you enjoy the most? We can start with whoever would like to take this away. Yeah.
All right, I'll give her a go. A lot of things I kind of hit on it last time. It's being involved in the day-to-day, making decisions strategically to grow your business, looking at the acquisitions, looking at some of the things you do in school, like your rent versus buy, different scenarios and pricing and customer contracts and and being involved in the long-term growth is something that really makes me happy. It's the people. Like I like working with the people that I do work with. I like all the different personalities that we do have. I like that this is the most I've dressed up in years, and I've got jeans and boat shoes on. So that's something that means a lot to me. Maybe not to you. Yeah, that's what I would say.
For me, there's two things. So the work-life balance for me is super important. I go to work. I have very flexible hours, and I work some compressed hours so I can get some additional days off. We have lots of, vacation and different kind of work arrangements where, if you have some, you know, home emergency or something like that, they're very flexible on that. And apart from that, definitely the people. I love the people that I work with. You're working in a team environment, so you're dealing with lots of different personalities. And for me, it's just helping people out as well. So just watching people grow because I'm a team leader. I have to give them the resources that they need to do their job. So just making sure that that they have what they need, and then seeing them succeed. So whether it's in the position they are today or that they're progressing through various levels as well.
So I guess I could go. So I kind of echo what my colleagues have said. It's the people. I noticed Alex said he doesn't do a lot of accounting anymore. I haven't done accounting in 4 years. So as you progress throughout your career, you may find something similar as well. So it's about people, team building. Even though my folks aren't on the front lines of healthcare, because they do what they do, they contribute to making a tangible difference in the quality of life for friends, families, and neighbors in Nova Scotia. So it's kind of a big deal that an accountant gets to do that, and I feel pretty lucky.
I could echo a lot of the same comments about people and so on. For me, one of the reasons what I enjoyed, I guess, working in public accounting as well as working in banking is I really enjoy working with the business owner. So I love learning about new businesses. I love learning about the challenges that those business owners have, and trying to strategize and find ways to help them out, whether it's through things we can offer, whether it's through connections that I have, connections that I can make within the community to help the business owners out, and therefore help the community. Certainly specifically from an RBC standpoint, what do I love? It's our culture. Internally, it's always a culture of learning. The bank is never resting on our laurels. As you know, shareholders are always expecting good returns, and clients are always demanding more. And so the bank is always, we're investing heavily in digital channels, investing heavily in artificial intelligence, investing heavily in products to help our advisors better serve our clients in the market. So it's that constant environment of learning, change, and working with the business owner that I would say I enjoy the most.
So I'd say the thing that I love the most about my job is the relationships that I build. So that's with both my team and my staff. I think I got made fun of when I first started because I'm like, oh, we're like a little family, and everyone's like, okay, Jessica, that's weird. But but I was like, guys, we spend more time with each other than we do a lot of our family, and so now we really do have that family feel. Definitely, I go into mama bear mode for my team for sure when something happens that I'm not happy about, and so we all have each other's back. That's really, really important to me. Also, my clients. I love my clients. I've stayed as long as I've stayed in public practice because of my clients. I love seeing them every year. I love learning about their businesses. I love when they come to me with their problems and I can help them work through decisions. I love when I meet with a little, an owner manager who is confused about a tax credit, and I'm able to explain it to them and carry the tax credit back and get them a refund of $11,000, and then they cry sitting in the boardroom. Those are all the things that make me feel like I'm actually adding value to the relationships in my life, my clients, and my team. And then I also love the flexibility that I have at BDO. So I work hard, but we also play hard. Super flexible in terms of working from home, flexible working hours, the fact that I'm here now, I can move around my schedule for that, all that stuff, but definitely the relationships.
Thank you. So our last question, what personal and professional qualities or attributes do you think are necessary to be successful in starting your own business? And we could start in the middle again if you like to do that.
I just look at you.
Excellent. What was the question again? Sorry.
I didn't get that question. It's a different one.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Well, this is an extra question then. Yeah.
So I'll start with this one. I would say that tenacity would be right at the top of the list. I mean, if you want to start your own business, you've got to have determination. So first and foremost, you got to be willing to roll with the punches. I mean, we see everyday business owners dealing with things that pop up that they never expected. You've got to be open to change. You've got to be open to taking help from other people. One of the largest challenges I see in business owners and growing their business is moving from small one person business where you do everything to your business has grown to a point where you can't do everything anymore, and being able to let go of that control and delegate becomes extremely important. Having deep pockets also helps. I say that somewhat kiddingly, but also seriously. It does take money in a lot of cases to start business or support. But there are creative ways to find that money, whether it's through finding investors, whether it's through raising money through crowdfunding. There's various ways you can do it. So I think determination and having a plan would be right up there at the top of the list.
I agree. I think determination, definitely like knowing that you're going to have to work hard, and accepting that and putting in the sweat equity and stuff like that is all really important in building a business. Clearly, I've started a few, so I can talk about this. Yeah.
I'll just add to that in terms of the sweat equity. I meet with business owners a lot, or people looking to start businesses that maybe have an unrealistic expectation as to the amount of work that is required up front. They friends of their parents are business owners, and they've got a great lifestyle where they're only working the equivalent of 2.5 days a week. I can guarantee you in 99% of those cases, it may not be as glamorous as you think, or if it is, it's because there's 20 years of extremely hard work behind it. It's very, very seldom that a business owner, especially in the early days, is not working considerably more than the average person. So, if 80-hour work week sounds unreasonable to you, then starting a business is probably not for you. At least in the early days, you can put in the work, and if you do everything right, you can get to a point where you are able to delegate, and you got a successful business, and you may be able to scale back the hours, but it certainly is a huge investment of time, stress, and energy for both you and your family up front.
I'll just hop in on that too. Also, a thing that I've seen with my clients is be prepared to not get paid for a little bit. There's a lot of times that clients, like startups and stuff, come to us, and maybe they do generate a little bit of income or something like that, but they know right away if they have any sort of financing, or if they want to have financing and things like that, then they are prepared to not draw down on that. So they have to live off of savings and things like that, and definitely. With the time required and stuff, my younger brother he has his own business, and like it's just real life for him that he's not able to take a lot of vacation, like I am able to, for instance, because if he's not there, he runs an IT consulting firm, and he's the one guy. So if his client runs into an IT disruption and he's in Mexico, there's not a lot he can do to help. So definitely those are two important considerations.
And I would just say, so as we do all these mergers, we deal with a lot of these owner operators and business owners that had their company for X amount of years. Coming from your perspective, don't think there's anything special about somebody that started a business. They're no different than you. The only difference is they wanted to take the risk and do it. Even if you're just joining a business, you have a lot to offer. You don't realize it, but fresh set of eyes and the knowledge background and the familiarity with IT and everything else that you have, it can go a long way. So don't think it has to be somebody special to do that, or anything in them circumstances. It's really there's no different than anyone sitting here in this room today.
One of the skills I would say you'd need is definitely some really good problem-solving skills, because I can only imagine running a business. You're going to run into a lot of problems that you didn't plan for, sort of thing. So you can have a great business plan, but you can't predict everything. So that would be what I would say.
And I have nothing. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that impromptu question. Sorry to spring that on to you. So I'm thinking that you must have a different question for your final question than I had. So if you don't mind, I will ask this one. So, do you have any advice or suggestions for students pursuing a career in accounting and or finance? And whoever would like to take that away can.
I would definitely say take every opportunity that is presented in front of you. If it's a networking event, if it's going for lunch, if literally any opportunity that you can to network, to build your professional network, to talk to people, to meet people, to take on extra assignments, like literally, it's all so important. And I think that's played a lot of. It's a big part in like my career. Is I've always been the one if there's an opportunity to say yes, or if a partner's about to leave and he just brings like, oh, I need to. Do you want to go to a meeting with me, or do you want to go to lunch with me? And I'm like. I'm not dressed for that today, actually, but still going and making those relationships and things like that. Definitely, especially when you're a student, like we're all here today, like come up and ask us a question. Don't just file up if you want to talk to us and things like that. Definitely, like everyone is there to help you throughout your education, so make sure you take advantage of it for sure. And then work really hard, study hard, but also have fun.
So I would just say there's value in every relationship you have in your life, whether it's at colleagues at school or if it's in the work environment or if it's friends and family. So definitely take the time to step back and invest some time in all those relationships. In terms of, sorry, what was the question again?
Do you have any suggestions
Oh.
Or advice?
Yeah, just reach out as much as you can, and as you go through this snowball of co-ops and summer jobs and first career choices and second, and in my case maybe third career choices, take some time to step back and take something from every little piece of your journey because it's going to help you grow more as an individual and add value to your future organizations.
I'd say any opportunities that you have, just make sure that you work hard and that you really try to make yourself shine when you're there. So maybe, show a bit of initiative and don't rely on somebody always to do the work. Show that you can be the problem solver and that you have some good ideas and don't be scared to speak up for sure.
I would say find something you love, folks. Alex said he was in 3 different positions in the last number of years, and that's okay. You're going to have some really tough days. Jess was talking about one of hers. So, if you're in an industry or an organization that you're passionate about and you care about, it makes it a lot easier to get through those tough days. So, don't be afraid to experiment a bit and try a few different things. And don't settle, I guess is what I would say.
So I'll just pile on to some of the comments that were made. You brought up a great point in terms of networking and the relationships you have now. And actually, you mentioned Matt Harris earlier, the guy you emailed. Matt taught me something early in my career, which was to value every relationship that you have and not to discount any of them. And really, that person you were in high school with that you thought maybe, might not amount to anything and they're not worth your time. You never know. They may be somebody you end up working for later on in life or somebody that you're looking to get business from later on in life. So it's really the importance of keeping those connections with everybody that you meet. Everybody can offer you something, whether you see it today or not. So the importance of that is huge. And I'd echo your comments on the end, which is that, do something you like. Just because you've taken accounting in school, if you get out into the workforce and you always thought you wanted to be in public accounting and you get out to public accounting and you really don't like it, or if you're in finance and you thought you were going to work at a bank and you go to a bank and you don't like it, don't be afraid to pivot. Career is a long time, so I can tell you from having worked in jobs before that I didn't enjoy. Your life suffers overall if you don't enjoy what you do every day. And you made the comment earlier that we spend more time with the people at work than we do with our loved ones. It's absolutely true. So everything suffers in your life if you don't enjoy what you do. Having said that, your first job may not be your dream job, and it's trying to take any learnings that you can get out of any job and take it to the next one. But I would certainly encourage you, if you're in a job that you don't enjoy, start looking at what your exit strategies may be or where you may be able to go to find something that you like. My advice would be not to quit the one you're in before you have the next one, because it's always harder to look for a job when you don't have one. But certainly it's important to believe in the organization you work for, believe in what they're striving for, and believe in the work that you're doing.
Great, thank you so much. So that is all the questions that I have prepared for our panelists today. I would now like to open up the floor to students for questions. So So if you do have a question, Elsie Henderson, she can come around with the microphone and just you can ask your question.
Don't be shy. One at the front here.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Asana too, and I'm in my fourth year in accounting, finance management. So my question is for someone that hasn't taken co-op or but had experienced extracurricular activities throughout their universities. When it comes to positions in accounting and in firms or in industry, so although you have all these skills that you've gained throughout your older work, what would take you to be standing out from the others that have taken co-op that have the kind of experience to work? So what would you recommend to that person to do extra?
I can jump in there even though I did do co-op, but I don't think it really matters. And I think in any career, I think you can't underestimate the value of interpersonal skills. So anything that you can do now to put yourself out there, whether it's networking groups, any networking events. I mean, almost every job. I think of at the accounting firm when you start as an auditor, you're not in a sales role, but effectively you are representing the company and you are representing the company to their clients, and it would be no different than being at CRA. You are representing the government of Canada when you're out dealing with people. So anything you can do to make yourself more comfortable dealing with people, I think will it's going to make you more comfortable in the interview. It's going to make you so I think that's one way that you can differentiate yourself is to get out there and network and put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because let's face it, interviews are uncomfortable. And so the more experience you can get dealing with uncomfortable situations and interpersonal situations, I think will set you up well.
Yeah, for sure. Like during our interviews, the biggest things we're assessing is your oral communication skills. So, how nervous are you talking to us? And also, how can you deal with some difficult situations? Because, that's how the job is sometimes. You might have an irate client or things like that. So, can you handle yourself? So, definitely practice those things for sure.
I guess I would say if you're interviewing, take a look at the requirements of the position. Try to figure out what the people across the table are looking for. And even if you don't have, all of those skill sets or those experiences, try to relate something in your past that, would be relevant. Jeff mentioned personality and Corey. I guess if I could give you one piece of advice when you're interviewing, just do what you're doing now. Like, you've been smiling for the last 2 or 3 minutes. That is so important because we're all human beings. We want to work with nice, friendly people, and I can't tell you how many students have sat across from and look like they're in physical pain. So smile.
That's a great point. Like, be yourself, right? Be yourself. Like every employer, any employer worth working for, I should say, wants to get to know you, right? They want to know you as a person. They want to know what makes you tick. So be yourself. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of yourself. And to your points on the end, go on LinkedIn. If you're applying for a position, go on LinkedIn and find some people that are in that position now. Look at what their backgrounds may be, and then, as he said, if you don't have maybe the education they have or their experience they have, what in your personal life can you relate to that experience that would help you with that gap that you have in whether it be education or work experience. And don't be afraid to apply to jobs that you don't have all of the requirements for. If I had only applied for jobs that I had every box ticked off, even in that section where it says must have, it's very rare that I've had everything that you need in that section, and it's very rare that we get people applying for the roles that have everything in that section. So be prepared to talk about it. Be prepared to acknowledge, I don't have this, but I think I can mitigate, that gap by this experience in my life, or I'm eager to learn. But I would certainly encourage you to apply for more jobs than what you have all of the qualifications for.
I'll jump in on that just from a perspective of maybe not having everything. So I started as a co-op student, as I said, and then a week into my co-op, they were like, "Oh, do you want to interview for a junior accountant role?" And I was just like, "Okay," not knowing it was going to actually be a real interview. I was like, "Oh, I already work here," so I thought it was just going to be a chat. And the question, like, so I just remember being like, I have nothing in accounting because all my previous co-ops were marketing related, and I'm like week one of a co-op, and they're asking me, all these times where maybe dealing with a difficult client and like very like industry specific, and I had to tie every single one of them back to being a server because that was like my experience at the time. But that was something they came back with afterwards when they offered me the full-time position. Was we really liked that you recognized that maybe you didn't have the things that we were asking you specifically for, but you tied it back to what you did have, and you showed us that it was still relevant.
Yeah, not a lot to add, but I would just say I know you're not in co-op, or I presume you're not in a co-op program. Right now is your best opportunity. You're in a university with a collection of finance people. There's look around. Like I said for myself, it was a flyer on the wall, and I said I really don't want to go to that. I would rather just stay home and probably watch a movie or whatever else. But I ended up applying, stepped out of my comfort zone, went with them, and it led to a chain of career opportunities. So.
Thank you for your question. Do we have any more student questions?
Hi everyone, my name is Scotia too, and I'm in my 4th year in accounting and finance. So my question was, do you still have opportunities for students applying probably in winter? Because I know with most of the firms, they start recruiting during the fall term, and after that it's probably all filled up. But do you still give the opportunities to students that may have applied late or may didn't have that opportunity to apply in fall? Thank you.
At CRA, we have a poster out right now. It's for recent or upcoming graduates. I think it closes November 12th, maybe. So apply. It'll come back out again, but obviously the sooner you apply, if we have a need, we'll go to that poster whenever we have a need. So you have better opportunities, of course, the quicker you apply. But you'll see it back again in January. But if you want to be considered for opportunities that come before then, or that people are planning to hire for, definitely apply now.
Yeah, I would say there's opportunities all year long. I mean, certainly at RBC, we hire on an as-needed basis. So I mentioned postings generally go up in January for co-op or summer positions, but we have positions posted all the time. If you look today, there may be some. Well, there is definitely some. If you look tomorrow, there may be some new ones. So there's always stuff going up. And then I can speak from my time working in public accounting firms as well. They do try to stage their hiring certain times a year based on need. But having said that, somebody leaves unexpectedly, or somebody that they thought they were hiring to start in the fall ends up deciding to take a position somewhere else or move somewhere else. So there's never a bad time to apply, so I wouldn't get discouraged by the fact that you've maybe missed the prime season. There's always opportunities that pop up, and there's always ways to make outreach and try to find a way in somewhere. And busy season for the accounting firms generally starts in January, so sometimes if they have lost somebody, they may recognize a need to hire 2 people to replace them, because not everybody's going to be up to speed. So I wouldn't be discouraged by the time.
I'll echo that from the public accounting standpoint. So definitely we've filled the positions for next, like from this fall for next fall, but we've already we ran into it last year. We had 2 people decline when they had already accepted. So things like that, then we would have to go back and post. So definitely always keep your eyes peeled for those opportunities.
Yeah, I'd say so. We hire with a need, obviously, but wake up, jump on Career Beacon, see what's new posted, be the first one in there applying, and that always interested me. I always like seeing what the opportunities were out there, learning about different companies, and seeing where you could potentially go. Don't wait for a perfect time. Don't wait for September when everyone does hiring. Don't wait for the day that you end graduation. Start making those connections now and look around now and inform yourself the most you can.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Does anyone else have a question for our panelists today? No more questions? If you have a question that you'd rather ask like personally to one of the panelists, you can absolutely come up after the panel. So thank you to our panelists so much for joining us today. Let's give a big round of applause. like to present each of you with a small token of our appreciation for being with us today. Thank you, Jeff. Yes. Okay,